Peace to the 12, man. Y'all see the title, The Black Knight of the 13th Century. And I also might make an alternative title for the video when it comes out. I might call it The Black Knight of the Round Table or whatever. But anyway, yeah, y'all heard it right. The Black Knight of the 13th Century. We're going to be looking at a story you guys might be familiar with, which is Lancelot, the Lancelot Chronicles. And if you're not familiar with Lancelot, you're probably familiar with King Arthur, or you probably heard of the Knights of the Round Table. Well, there was a black man in that compilation of the Lancelot compilation named Morien, and we're going to be looking at him, and that's really what this video is going to be about. I'm going to get some books, or I'm going to get a book about Morien translated in English, because it wasn't originally written in English, and then we're going to touch on what the word Morien means, and then we're going to touch on Moor, and then that'll be that. And I'm also going to show that the word Morien was in the Geneva Bible. So anyway, let's get to that. So, first of all, when was Lancelot written? Lancelot, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but it's a third Arthurian novel written by Chrétien de Troyes in circa 1135 to 1181. It was composed between 1176 and 1181 at the request of Marie de Champagne, right? And this is the author. Yeah, we just read about him in Troyes, and this is according to Library of Congress. You know, one of the most, if not the best library in the world. I originally had this in 12th century, but I meant to put 13th century. No, I was correct, because the 1100s would be the 12th century. The 12th century. But I believe the original literary work was lost. But anyway, and I even looked up, is Lancelot based on a true story? I said, was Lancelot a real person? The debate over the historicity of the characters in Arthurian legend is ongoing. It is unlikely that there was a single person upon whom the character of Lancelot is based, but it is possible that he was inspired by some real figures, right? So, could have been based off some real people. But let's also get something on the 12th century real quick. What's important about the 12th century? The 12th century is the period of 1101 to 1200 in accordance with the Julian calendar. In the history of European culture, this period is considered part of the High Middle Ages and overlaps with what is often called the Golden Age of the Cistercians. Probably pronounced that wrong too. So this is like the height of the Middle Ages, and just the fact that I'm doing this video, this lets you know that black people, yes, were present in the Middle Ages. You know, I told you guys this before in other videos. But yeah, the Lancelot, I think it was originally written in Dutch. Yeah, his name was given in the Middle Dutch collection. The original work was lost. The manuscript is the second of the two compendiums of translation of Old French Arthurian romances. The first is lost, right? So it was originally French, which I could have guessed it would be French because of the name Chevalier. But anyway, we're gonna go to the book. One of the books, because I believe there are 5 books that made up the compilation of Lancelot, and this book we're gonna be looking on is Morien. All right, Morien. Who is Morien? Morien is a 13th century Arthurian romance in Middle Dutch. A 4,720 line version is preserved in the vast Lancelot compilation, and a short fragment exists at the Royal Library at Brussels. The work tells the story of Morien and the Moorish son of Aglovale, one of King Arthur's Knights of the Round Table. Like I told you, right? One of King Arthur's Knights of the Round Table, and that might be the title of the video. I don't know. You know. So let's get that. That's pretty much that. It gives you a story on this. The work tells the story of Morien, the Moorish son. Yeah, we got that. Right? And this is Sir Morien from the Lancelot compilations in 1320 AD. It says Sir Morien up there. And let's get to, and I also want to show you that he wasn't the only black knight. There's paintings of black knights right here. You got this painting right here. You see these crowns right here? So-called black people. It says Moses defeating the Moors. Detail from Rudolph von M's World Chronicle, about 1400 to 1410 German. Temporary colors on the gold leaf of parchment. The J. Paul Getty Museum, MS 33, volume 66. As you can see, black knights going against the so-called white man. And the so-called black knights at that, because black's not a race, it's a color. But anyway, So that being said, we're going to get the English translation, like I said I would, of Morien, right? We're going to get from the scholar and medieval historian Jessie Weston, right? She was an English independent scholar. She worked mainly on medieval and Arthurian texts. And she was born in the 1800s. She was born in 1850. So we're going to go to the Morien, translated by Jessie L. Weston, right? And I'm only going to go to the highlighted portions for sake of time. We're going to go to page 4. It's going to detail Morien and prove that he's a so-called black man. They're going to tell you over and over again he's a so-called black man in these translations. Anyway. So, the points of difference are that whereas Morien is black all over, save his teeth, Ferrafis is party-colored, black and white, a curious conception which seems to point to an earlier stage of thought. Morien is a Christian, Ferrafis a heathen, the more probable version. Right? It says Morien, Christian knight, wins the love of a Moorish princess. We go to page 12. Morien. It says, on the 9th day there came riding towards them a knight on a goodly steed, and well armed withal. He was all black, even as I tell you, his head, his body, and his hands were all black, saving only his teeth, his shield, and his armor were even those of a Moor, and black as a raven. Right? And we'll touch on the Moors later on. I just want to let you know that they all say that they're black too, because this is another, or that this man's black, because this is another version of the Lancelot compilation, but this is by Bart Besamuska. And he says that again, the knight Morien is as black as a raven. He says on the 9th day of their quest, Wavrin and Lancelot met a black knight wearing black armor whose name was Morien. So that's another translation of this 9th day right here about the black knight. Just wanted to get that as well. Anyway, continuing on page 13, same book. It says, had they not heard him call upon God, no man had dared face him, deeming that he was the devil, or one of his fellows out of hell. For that his steel was so great, and he was taller even than Sir Lancelot, and black withal, as I said afore. Right? Big, tall, black dude. Thus came the two together, the Moor and Sir Lancelot. Each had a great spear and brake it in two, as a reed, yet neither failed the other, had each abode upon his steed. Right? We go to page 16, where it says, then was the black knight blithe, and drew near to Sir Lancelot, and bared his head, which was black as pitch. That was the fashion of his land. Moors are black as burnt brands. So he's saying that the Moors are black as burnt brands. Because I get these people in my comments all the time that I make fun of. Oh, actually, the Moors don't have anything to do with black people. I don't know why even though this guy's saying Moors are black as burnt brands. And later on in this video, when I show you the old definitions, when we go to the Latin dictionaries, we go into the Greek, the word Moor was always synonymous with black, even in British dictionaries in ancient times. But nonetheless, but in all that men would praise in a knight was he fair after his kind. Though he were black, what was he the worse? In him was not unsightly. He was taller by half a foot than any knight who stood beside him. You know, it reminds me of the Japanese samurai Yasuke, which is a whole nother topic and controversy that's pissing off these keyboard warrior Edomites. But they said that about Yasuke, that he was taller than everybody and stronger than everybody. So they have a similar account about Mr. Sir Morien. Anyway, keep going. Page 17. When the Moor heard these words, he laughed with heart and mouth. His teeth were as white as chalk. Otherwise was he altogether black. And he spake, God our Father reward ye, noble knights, for the goodwill and the honor ye have done me, and also for the great comfort wherewith ye have lightened mine heart, that long hath been all too heavy. So once again, he was called a Moor, and he was black, right? Only thing white on him was his teeth. Page 37. But all they who lay in the ships, when they beheld Morien, who had doffed his helm, were so afeared for him that they might neither hear nor understand question nor answer. They were altogether in fear of him, since he was so tall and black withal. See that? It just keeps telling. It just So Morien was obviously a so-called black man. I still got more pages of the book too, page 44. Thus went the twain into the chapel, where they found that good man the hermit and Morien, who was black of face and of limb. 49, page 49. As they came to the ships, Morien told him how it had fared with him before when he thought to make the crossing. And he said that he found no living soul among all that he saw there who would let him into his ship, since be seemed to them so huge and black withal. So they didn't want to let this Shaquille O'Neal looking man go through, right? Through the shipyard. But on page 50, it says, even as the steed was aboard and all was ready for the crossing, came Morien riding, blacker than any son of man whom Christian eyes had ever held. And the beat man was fain to flee when he beheld him, and he drew nigh to him, for he had seen him aforetime. He deemed that he should surely die of fear, and scarce might more a limb, right? Or might move a limb. And then we get one more page, and then we're going to get into the word Morien, and I'm going to show you that it was also in a Bible. We're going to go to page 51, where it says, the one is a goodly man to look upon, and well armed, and so forsooth is the other, but his armor and his limbs, so far as I might see, were blacker than soot or pitch, right? So his limbs were blacker than pitch. I wot not if ye know aught of them or of their errand. They said that they would fain speak with ye, and they prayed me straitly, the twain of them, that I should come hither and tell ye this, right? So through all these different pages, right, you learn that Morien was a so-called black man. I even showed you his picture in the beginning of the Lancelot compilation in 1320 AD. That's what they said what he would have looked like. So let's define what a Morien is, right? So just a quick Google. Morien is just a plural form of the word Moor, right? What is a Morien? A Moor, right? Then this right here, Morien means black. The word Morien meaning an individual with black skin color, used by Vengeance to describe Toxin, and is attested for as early as the 16th century. In Swedish dictionaries, however, the presence of individuals of African ancestry in Sweden predates that term. Absolutely. This, what I'm talking about, Morien was in the 13th century. And also, it also lets you know that Morien already meant black, because Morien at that time was considered black. Now we go to the Bible. It's also in the Bible, believe it or not. Right? I've done this before. When you go to Zephaniah, the 2nd chapter and the 12th verse, and it says, ye Ethiopians also, ye shall be slain by my sword. Now it says Ethiopians, right? When we go to other versions, and when you go to the Bible Hub, you type in other versions of Zephaniah 2 and 12, it either say Cushites or Ethiopians, right? And sometimes they'll spell Cushite with a K, but that's about it, right? But when we open up the Geneva Bible, and then the significance of the Geneva Bible was that it was the foundation of the American colonies. It was the Bible used in Jamestown, and the preferred Bible of the early pilgrim settlers of New England. And we're going to go to the Geneva Bible 1560 edition. Really, we're going to go to 1599 edition, which it still says it in that. In Zephaniah 2 and 12, it's, instead of it saying, because remember it says ye Ethiopians, but in this version it says what? Let's see. Ye Moriens also shall be slain by my sword with them. So Morien is in replace of Ethiopian. And in other versions also, like Geneva Bible 1587, it says Moriens. Bishop's Bible of 1568, it says Moriens. Coverdale Bible of 1535, it says ye Morias. This is all talking about so-called black man, right? Now let's define a Moor while I'm at it, right? We're making good time. Let's see. I'm at 14 minutes. Yeah, we're making good time. So let's define a Moor as well while I'm at it. I've already done it before. What just happened? I don't know what that was about. But anyway, words that change their meanings. Moor, right? So the word Moor, when you ask Google, it'll say an expanse or open, fertile land, boggy area. That's what they say Moor means, right? Or they'll tell you that Moor means a Muslim, right? Moor, a member of the Muslim population of Al-Andalus, now Spain and Portugal. That's what they'll say in the New World Encyclopedia. But that is not what Moor meant originally, and I'm going to prove it right now. Let's really define a Moor. We'll go to Samuel Johnson's dictionary from the 1755 edition. This guy was born in 1709. Samuel Johnson's Dictionary, 1773 edition. It says Moor. It has that marsh right there. Look at the second use of the word Moor. Moor. Morris, Latin. A Negro. A blackamoor. Simple, right? We go to anthropologist David McRitchie, born in 1851. We're going to go to his book, Ancient and Modern Britons, Volume 1. We're going to go to page 46. We're going to go to the highlighted portion where it says, any Latin dictionary, any old one, at least will tell you that Morris is a Moor. Remember it said, a while ago, it said Morris, Latin for Moor, which means a Negro, right? So, going back. It says, any Latin dictionary, any old one at least, will tell you that Morris is a Moor, a blackamoor, or a tawny Moor, and Shakespeare used the word Moor as a synonym for Negro. English rendering of Moor signifying thereby any black or brown-skinned man. Right, now we're going to go to a Latin dictionary since he quoted one. We're going to go to John Entick, born in 1703. We're going to have a look at his New English Latin Dictionary, and we're going to go down to here where it says a Moor. Now look at this. It says a Moor. Ethiops. Morris. Once again, Morris was Latin for black. Morris is the Latin form of Moor. And it says Moor Ethiops. Right? What is Ethiops? Ethiops means burnt face. Ethiopian. Right? An ancient term for parts of Africa. We continue on. When we go to John Ogilvie, he was a Scottish lexicographer who edited the Imperial Dictionary of the English Language. He was born in 1797. We're going to open up his Imperial Dictionary by John Ogilvie. And we're going to go to page 203. And this is what he has to say about a Moor. We're going to go to volume 3 of the Imperial Dictionary. And it says Moor. Right? Moor, Morris, probably from Morris, black or dark colored. A native of the northern coast of Africa called by the Roman Mauritania the country of dark complexioned people. Yeah, Mauritania is the country of dark complexioned people. As a matter of fact, Mauritania, I mentioned this in my Black People of Spain video. Mauritania literally translates to land of the blacks. Like Mar, like right here, the Mar part goes to black or dark colored, and Natania is the country. Like how they call it Britannia. Well, Mauritania, yeah, it means land of the blacks. Just like Britannia means land of Britain. You know. But anyway, same country is called Morocco. But John Wilkes, guy was born in the 1700s as well. Born in 1725. And we're going to go to his thing, the Encyclopedia Londinus, or Universal Dictionary of Arts, Sciences, and Literature. We're going to go to page... Do I have the page? I don't think I put the page on here. But we're going to go to more anyway. It says, the Negroes or the blacks held in early correspondence with the ancient Mauritanians. That's why I told you Mauritania means land of the blacks. Numidians and Carthaginians. Right? And eventually I'm going to do a video on the Canaanites and I touch on the Carthaginians. But he's letting you know that the Negroes or blacks had a correspondence with Mauritania, Numidia, and Carthage. Right? Correspondence means resemblance, similarity, comparability, right? Now we're going to go to the Web Archive, National Archives of the UK government. We're going to go to Black Presence, 1500s. So this is where it says Moor. It says originally this term was applied to Muslims who conquered parts of Spain in the 8th century. We already kind of debunked that when we went to the dictionaries. But it says, look at this. In Britain, it was often used to refer to any black person. Right? And yes, the majority of the black Moors also, yeah, most of them were Muslims. That's because they were forced to convert to it when Muhammad went into Africa. I might do a video on all that in a minute. Or I might do a video on that. Because I got some sources on that. But anyway, the word Moor appears in Shakespeare literature, and it's always talking about black. Moor, Moorish, Morris. It's spelled in a variety of ways. Black, Moor, blackamoor, and black Moor. Blackamoor was also used as a synonym for Negro in the 15th, 16th, and 17th century. Right? And we just got a source in the 13th century of the Lancelot compilation where Morien was also black. And before I get out of here, I'll get a couple more. I'll get like 2 more books on the Moors, and that'll be that. Just to once again point out that the Moors were predominantly so-called black. So So this is Eobo Tozy, born in 1715. He was an author. He wrote a book, The Present State of Europe, exhibiting a view of the natural and civil history of the several countries and kingdoms, to which is prefixed an introductory discourse on the principles of polity in the government, volume 1, right? So we're going to go to page 18 of that book, Present State of Europe, and it says right here, but the difference of the bodies and faces of people in different countries is scarcely greater than that of their ideas of beauty, meaning different countries have different standards of beauty, right? And it says, thus the Moors place it in the blackness of their faces. So the Moors place their beauty in the blackness of their faces. The Chinese and Kalmucks in a flat visage, nay, the Omegas, a people of South America, press the forehead of their newborn children between two boards in order to more effectually give them that odd figure, right? Another example would be how the Chinese back in the day, when they would give their women dainty feet, when they would like tie their feet up and things like that, or just different standards of beauty in general. But notice he says that the Moors, their beauty was in the blackness of their faces, right? Like the saying goes, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. And blackness means the property or quality of being black in color. The fact the state belongs to any human group having dark colored skin. Page 172. It talks about how Spain was conquered by the Moors, which he already stated that the Moors found beauty in the blackness of their faces. So these were black people that went and conquered Spain. So we go to page 172, and I've done a video on this. I did it. It's like my 3 videos ago, so you don't even gotta go that far. And I think I mentioned in this video as well at the end. But page 172, it says, Spain having been successfully possessed by so many foreign people, the Phoenicians, the Carthaginians, the Romans, the Vandals, Suevi, Alani, afterwards by the Visigoths, and lastly by the Moors, among whom were great numbers of Jews. So there were a lot of Jews among the Moors. It is easily seen that generally considered the Spaniards must be a very mixed kind of people, but the descendants of the several people did not equally stand their ground, one being overpowered and subdued by another. The Romans expelled the Carthaginians, the Vandals, Suevi, and Alani, after disposing the Romans with great slaughter, met with the like treatment from the Visigoths, and these could not withstand the invasion of the Moors. Though they were not totally exterminated or driven out of the country, such members remaining that they again took up arms against the conquerors. And in a long succession of years, partly subdued them and partly compelled them to return to Africa, their mother country. Thus the Visigoths are the main flock of the Spanish nation, with a considerable mixture of descendants from the Moors, a few from the Romans and Suevi, and fewer still from the Jews, and the fewest of all from the ancient inhabitants. Right? So you got some people in Spain that look like they might be so-called white, but they actually might go back to the Moors, right? And speaking of, it's saying, let's rewind, on page 172, and it said, lastly by the Moors, among whom were great numbers of Jews. There were a lot of Jews among the Moors. So let's get this book, The 80 Francis Methuens and Portugal, The Methuens of Portugal, 1691 to 1708 by 80 Francis. And we're going to go to page 10, where he says, Bromley, who visited Lisbon in 1693, said that in spite of the persecution of the Jews and New Christians, these people still formed, and when it says New Christians are just mostly Jews that were forced to convert to Christianity and worship fake white Jesus. But anyway, these people still formed a third of the population, and many of them looked as swarthy as Moors. So it's letting you know that the Jews and New Christians, many of them were as swarthy as the Moors, and we just learned that the Moors found beauty in the blackness of their faces, and I went to all these different definitions. So what does that say about the Jews? Yeah, you already know. But for more on that, about me talking about the Moors, you can watch this video 10 days ago called The Black People That Ruled Spain for 800 Years. And that's about the Moors, and it'll get you right on that. So I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. That wasn't going to be too long. So with that, I say peace to the 12. And I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father, the Most High, whose name is Yahawah, in the name of His only begotten Son, whose name is yahawashi. Yahawah is the name of the Heavenly Father, who the world commonly calls God. And yahawashi is the name of the Savior of the nation of Israel, who the world commonly calls Jesus Christ. I want to say shalom, which means peace. To you people that are listening and learning, to you brothers doing this work, truth, sincerity, and to you elders that's been doing this thing before me, man. So I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. That's the Black Knight of the 13th century, Morien. I'm gone. Peace.